The provisional license exam arc is about to come to an action-packed end as Gang Orca prepares to battle against the young superhero students. But before you get that, you're going to have to wait, because this episode is a special episode, which is essentially just a big commercial for the brand new movie, My Hero Academia 2 Heroes. That's right, it's filler time. Hello my friends, and welcome to another review of the My Hero Academia anime series. Now, before I go into this episode, I need to stress that I don't read the manga version of My Hero Academia, so whenever there's a filler episode, I never know if it was actually from the original series or not. But this episode right here was painfully clear that it was going to be a special episode. It even opened up with Deku and All Might declaring that this is going to be a very special episode all about love, and that it is. But for the most part, this entire episode is essentially a giant commercial for the My Hero Academia movie, 2 Heroes, a movie that I have not seen, but is actually coming to American theaters very soon. But I'm probably going to skip out on that version as I don't watch the English dub of My Hero Academia. I'll probably just wait for it to come out on Blu-ray and DVD and watch that version there. But this episode right here was not the most exciting in the world, but it still managed to be fairly entertaining and kind of funny, to be perfectly honest. The only real problem that I have with this episode is where it was actually placed. This episode completely broke the pacing of the provisional license exam arc, and that's a shame because the pacing of My Hero Academia, for the most part, has been pretty freaking rapid pace. But here it just stops everything dead in its tracks. I really wish that they would have aired this episode either towards the end of the season or right before the provisional license exam arc actually began. Or maybe even opened up the season this way to continue to build up the brand new My Hero Academia movie, which already has been out for a month in Japan already, so this episode is sort of late to the party, so to speak. So that's really my only problem with the episode. That being said, it was still pretty fun. The entire episode itself is bookended by scenes which are sort of there to advertise the movie. Like I said, I haven't seen the movie yet. I don't know anything about it or the characters, but they introduce a couple of them in this episode, like the fact that All Might used to have a sidekick by the name of Dave or David, and he had a daughter by the name of Melissa, whose full name is Melissa Shield. She appears at the very end of the episode, declaring that, hey, we're getting ready to have this big event on our island, which is called I-Island. You should come along and bring some of your students. Basically, that's where the movie is actually going to pick up. These scenes are okay, but again, like I said, it just feels kind of like a big commercial for a movie that people have probably already seen, at least in Japan anyway. But the actual episode itself ends up being a summer exercise. It actually all takes place before the summer training camp arc, and they're only going to involve a certain amount of characters in the series, which are essentially the most popular ones, which are Deku, Uraraka, Tenya Ida, Katsuki Bakugo, not to mention freaking Tsuyu, of all people, and of course Shoto Todoroki. These are the characters which I feel are definitely sort of the faces of the series, and without a doubt the most popular heroes from UA. And they're going to be going through an exercise where they have to go through a hostage situation, where the teachers are going to act as people who are hostages, and then there's going to be the villain. And the villain is actually played by All Might in this episode. And basically this entire exercise is to show what they do in a really dangerous situation. And the way that it actually plays out is, to be perfectly honest, freaking hilarious. The reason it's funny is because they all know that they're acting. They all know this is just part of an exercise, but man, do they take it seriously. Except for Katsuki Bakugo, who knows that this is all just stupid. They create this scenario where All Might is a villain who goes into a jewelry store to rob it, and they decide to bust in and save the day, but when they go in there, they discover that the villain is actually already dead, and they have to figure out who actually killed him. Was it one of the hostages? Was it someone else? Or is there something else afoot here? And they have to use their investigative skills to actually figure this out. Deku, being the very analytical one he is, actually deducts that the villain himself was not actually killed by anyone in the room, but actually committed committed suicide. The main reason for that is a convoluted plot all about the fact that this villain actually knew one of the hostages, who was played by Midnight, and they seem to have some sort of former relationship with one another. And instead of one of them getting in trouble with the police, he decides to kill himself to protect his former lover. It's strange, but it's funny because of how serious they actually act this out, especially Midnight, who really gets into the role big time. Ultimately, everything sort of plays out the way that Deku expected, except that they realize that the villain was actually faking the entire time. They end up getting 0 points, they don't pass anything, and it makes the rest of the episode completely irrelevant. But make sure to check out My Hero Academia 2 Heroes in theaters this summer! So what's the rundown on this episode of My Hero Academia? While I certainly got some laughs from this episode, especially from the Katsuki Bakugo moments, and the hilarious twist in the middle of this, like, murder case, I have to admit, this is probably my least favorite episode of My Hero Academia. In the grand scheme of things, it means absolutely nothing, and like I've said before, it's a glorified commercial for the movie, which we already know is coming out. They're advertising the hell out of this thing. We don't need an anime episode that ties into it directly. What I also don't like about these type of episodes is that there's going to be that one person who does not watch the movie, which again, ends up making this episode completely irrelevant. This isn't an uncommon thing either. Whenever like a movie version of an anime series comes out, sometimes the actual anime series will create some episodes which tie directly into it. One Piece has done it, Naruto has done it, and now My Hero Academia has done it, but I think they could have handled it so much better. I think if they maybe built upon some of the concepts of those movies a little bit more, it would get me more interested in actually seeing that film. But considering that this episode is bookended by scenes which are just there to say, hey, go see the new movie, it just felt kind of weak in my opinion. Then of course there's the final scene at the end, which is again just Deku and All Might just saying, go see the movie, go see it now. That's just the only feeling that I got from this episode. Also, even though we got to see a lot of like the fan favorite characters in this episode working together and going through like a practice, I don't know what it was, but this episode just felt out of place. It felt uncharacteristic for the rest of the show. It still looked and sounded like My Hero Academia, but I don't know, just something about this episode turned me off. That being said, it is completely watchable and better than some of the worst episodes of other things that I've actually seen. If this is the worst episode of My Hero Academia, then that's actually a good thing, because I'm giving this episode a 3 out of 5. It was a fun, average episode of My Hero Academia, but in the grand scheme of things, it means nothing. You could completely skip it, and you're not going to miss a beat. Also, my biggest issue with it, of course, is that it completely interrupted the provisional license exam arc, and I wanted to see more of Gang Orca in action. The way that they showed him off in the last episode, and the preview for the next one, looks like it is going to be awesome. I cannot wait to see this guy in action. So yeah, My Hero Academia anime series, make sure if you do these filler episodes again to put them in a place that feels more natural. That's all I have to really say about this one. You heard my thoughts about it. I'd love to hear yours. Tell me what you guys thought about this episode of My Hero Academia in the comment section below. Let's get a discussion going. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, stay damn down, baby.